Today on Locked On Rockies. Well, usually when a pitcher faces the minimum, it's a no-hitter. So at least the Rockies can say they're lucky that didn't happen.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 11th day of September in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Be part of the show. Let me know. And if you want to help support the show, you want to help the show grow, check us out on that YouTube page and let me know what's on what's going on your mind. We are on that road to 1,000 folks, and we really appreciate all the support there. We had Kian Paras say, like, comment, subscriber 935. Keep going, folks. Almost there to 1,000. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. We're rocking and rolling. We're having lots of fun throughout the rest of this season, even with games like that. And we'll talk about that game and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we dive into all the fun, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, so I think we need to realize one thing when we're looking at that game from last night. We do need to acknowledge the fact that the Tigers are a good team. We can start with that. But those performances against a rookie who has struggled mightily in his last few starts, like, that's the type of stuff where again, it's not completely over. It's not blow everything up. It's not, it's all washed. But it is something that's very strange. It is something that is a reminder of the talent that the Rockies still need to develop, the level of play the Rockies still need to get to, the amount of growth that this team still needs to face, and mixed in with, like, wow. I mean, just a little bit of, like, too many times have the Rockies looked outmatched in this season, and this is an interesting one. I know this is a road game and whatnot, but this was a rookie pitcher that hadn't made a huge splash compared to some of these other things. But clearly the Tigers know how to manage and prep their pitchers, at least going up against the Rockies. But I just find it a little. I get frustrated by 27 up, 27 down by a rookie, 9 innings, shutout, and not the Skeens level rookie, not the rookie pitchers that are coming up and setting the world on fire. This was a guy in his last starts before this one had given up at least 2 earned runs in his the last sets, and the last 2 starts before that, 3 earned runs and then 5 earned runs. And in that time, walking multiple people, not double digits. I'm sorry. 2 walks in last 3 out of his last 5 starts, 3 walks in one of those starts. And then against the Rockies, none. And this, I mean, he's had some against the Yankees. He threw 5 scoreless innings there, and only allowed 2 hits. But it's the no walks in only the 5 strikeouts type of things. When I look at that, it's just like, was he hitting the spots that well? Was everything just hitting for that weak contact so perfectly? Was that the spot? Or do the Rockies need more better at bats? Do the Rockies need to draw more walks? And we're seeing better ones. I mean, Michael Toglia leading the way, and we're seeing the Rockies be somewhat less aggressive. But I think this game kind of shows you in a different light versus the strikeout problems that the Rockies are having, that over aggression and whatever their philosophy is, they're not hitting the pitches they need to hit. They're not taking advantage of the mistakes when they need to. And I was watching on and off yesterday, so I didn't necessarily see a ton of moments in which but it's only 3 hits. It's 27 Rockies up. It's 27 Rockies down. That means the singles were all negated by double plays. I mean, there had to, and that's, you could also throw in the classic excuse of it was just his day. But there's too many of these things where I see this game where I'm not just fully convinced that the rookie had the good day. This is a game in which I get concerned about philosophy, approach, development. I mean, and I know it's just one game, but it's just too often the Rockies get dominated. I mean, if you are set down 27 in a row, you are dominated in that game. Even if the Rockies had a home run in that to break the shutout or whatever, you lost 11-0, down by 4 by the first or the second inning yesterday. I think it was the second. You were down by 5 in the second inning. My apologies. Dominated. That's what that was. I mean, the Rockies got dominated, and that continues to happen too much this year. And another weird thing continues for the Rockies here in this one. They can't win 3 games in a row. So if you're an everydayer, this isn't the first time I've brought this up, but I have to keep bringing it up. The Rockies can't string wins together. In the second half of the season, they have 1 winning streak of 3 games. In the first half of the season, of 3 games, it's just 3 games. In the first half of the season, you have the 7-game winning streak, and then one other time do you win 3 in a row. That's a problem. It isn't, and at this stage of the season, I'm not just leaning on, it's the rookies, it's just giving the young guys a chance. This is why you worry about talent and development. And this is why when people talk about, moving on from Bud Black and making the changes, that they have a valid point of, is it just Bud Black's managerial style, or is it the people that are being placed on the roster? I expect more from this team in this situation. This game would be different if you're going up against the number 1, if you're going up against the Cy Young. But this is a rookie that was struggling going into this game, and the Rockies get shelled. The Rockies get destroyed, and they get set down in order. And I can't just sit and say and allow that to be just baseball. When you zoom out and you look at the fact that the Rockies can't string. There's no winning baseball that strings together. There's such little consistency in winning with this team, and so there is one other 3-game winning streak. It's the Rockies won the last game of the first half and did beat San Francisco 2 in a row. But what is that? 4 times across the season, the Rockies have strung together a set of 3 wins. That's a problem. Where is it? Like Bill, why can't the momentum carry over? What is so, and that's and these are big level questions. Obviously, these obviously don't have simple, clear answers, but you look at that game last night, and it's an opportunity again. There's just been opportunities for the Rockies to build up, to build momentum. And yet they can't, because when you go through that series like you did in Milwaukee and with plenty of issues there, but you get the wins, that's got to fuel you to feeling the same type of way. But then to go in and put up a performance like this, and this isn't just on the offense either. We're going to talk about Blaylock here coming up in segment number 2. That's what's the biggest frustrating part about that type of loss for the Rockies. It's just, Why can't they win that third game? Why can't they maintain the momentum? Why can't they keep, what gets in the way of that train? What gets in the way of putting together a solid full week of baseball, a solid full winning week of baseball? On the road, at home, doesn't matter. What gets in the way there? Is it just the talent? Is it the approach? I mean, it's obviously a mix of a lot of things, and those things probably being at the top of the list. But it's just one of those things where you look at it and you say, when the Rockies have had moments to build momentum, and when you win 3 games in a row, that's a winning streak. A small one, but it's a winning streak. You're at a point, if you win 3 games in a row, you have almost won more than half of the games you play in a week. And if you have an off day, that is half the games you play in a week. It's a small benchmark. But for me, with the Rockies, it's consistency that I want to see, and consistency that we aren't seeing. And consistency is what we are not seeing, I should say. Because that game is a prime example. Let's talk about the arm issues or the control issues for Blaylock. And I also got a couple of questions from a Detroit Tigers fan yesterday who checked out the show and sent in some questions. So we're gonna dive in to some of those. We're gonna do that coming up. Segment number 2, today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. I love Gametime. Why? Because Gametime is super simple when it comes to buying tickets. If you want tickets for your big event, and maybe you've been kind of going back and forth, wondering if you're going to go, maybe if you're waiting for your schedule to clear, maybe you're just waiting for the right opportunity to get a deal. Well, Gametime's got you covered there because they got great prices all the way up to the start and even a little after of your favorite events. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can toggle in the all-in pricing feature, and when you do that, you're going to see all the price up front, all the fees, everything. No hidden fees, no nothing. You're going to toggle that button. You're going to say, that's what I'm paying. Boom, that's my seat. And I'm going to, one of my other favorite things, get that seat view. That means you're going to get a picture, you're going to get a view, so you're going to know what type of view you will have when you get to the park, the venue, the concert, wherever you're going, because Gametime doesn't just cover you for sports. They got you covered for concerts, comedy, whatever you can think of. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB. You could spell it if you'd like as well for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing in your daily Colorado Rockies talk. Thanking you for making us your first listen of the day. Really appreciate that. And really appreciate y'all checking out the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. If you can subscribe to that, if you can help us get to our 1,000 subscriber goal, that would be awesome. Really would appreciate that. For your second listen of the day, check out Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered with all things in the world of baseball. And, of course, SiriusXM's got you covered for all your Rockies play-by-play action all season long. Frustrating game last night, right? Frustrating one to watch, frustrating one to look at. And it's added onto some frustrations because Bradley Blaylock is having struggles hitting the zone. When he first made in his first 3 starts, he walked 2 batters over. First 2 starts. I apologize. He walked to 1 batter. Now in his last, he has had at least 1 walk in his last 5 starts, and he's had at least 3 walks in 4 out of the last 5 starts. And this to me, and it's a young guy totally scratching the surface, end of the season, playing good teams. I mean, the teams that he has played, San Diego, Arizona, the Yankees, gets a little bit of a break with the Marlins, but got shelled by him, Atlanta, and Detroit. These are good teams he's going up against. That is trial by fire. That he's getting some strikeouts in some of these games as well, including a best 5 against the Yankees at the end of August. But when I see walks, especially this, I am so traumatized by walks this season because it is just, I mean, the Rockies especially, and their issues walking batters, but it's walking batters goes against just is like one of the worst things you can do as a team like the Rockies, especially in your home environment and really anywhere. If you not being able to, when your whole deal, and Blaylock might be different as they have talked about changing pitching philosophies with some of these guys. They might be trying to do some different things with them. But when the whole deal is pitch to contact, weak contact, you got to hit your spots. And Rockies pitching and the amount of walks that they allow, it's unacceptable. And I know they might not be one of the worst teams. I think we've looked, but they're certainly a bottom of the barrel team when it comes to walks. So many free opportunities. I mean, it just, you cannot have 5 walks in a game following up a 6 walk performance. 5 walks in 4 innings. That's just plain unacceptable. That is just not up to snuff. And this is a trend that needs to stop for Blaylock. This is a moment in which Bud Black they have to be getting in there and making an adjustment. This isn't 1 start. This isn't 2. This is 5 starts. This is 5 problematic starts here for Bradley Blaylock, and you got to go through your lumps, and you're going through the good teams, and there's plenty of context that you can lace around this. But you can't deny the fact that the Rockies and their control issues, it's a bigger deal than just Blaylock. So I can't just sit here and only pin it on the young rookie who's making he's getting his first moments of big league service. But I can sit here and be like, why is that happening? Is Blaylock, is he missing that bat every time? Are the batters that good at taking the pitches? Is he getting screwed by the umps? It really, all that stuff probably factors in, but it doesn't matter when the Rockies have a control issue. When you have people that come out of the bullpen and can't hit their spots. When you have other starters that can't hit their spots. Walks will haunt. It is one of the true core foundational sayings in baseball that will ring true till the end of time. And so, again, it's adjustment. It's what change is going to be made. What are the Rockies doing to help Bradley Blaylock get back to the first 2 starts and not the second and not the last 5? And I'm not going to just sit here and say it's all just the talent. Because you have to, especially against the good teams, you have to hit your spots against them. Still plenty. I mean, it's not completely give up on Blaylock and all that. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the last 5 Blaylock starts make me more worried about the Rockies' ability to address the control issues that are facing the pitching staff. That's what I'm saying. Because it isn't just Blaylock that has had issues. It isn't just Blaylock that goes through these stretches of walking people. Anthony Molina still had 2 walks last night. You cannot give up 7 walks in a ball game. You want to know why Montero went the distance, or a big part of that, and why he sat down 27 in a row? 0 walks. And this was a guy who had walk issues before. So the Rockies were doing a favor for we're doing a favor for this guy too. You got to be able to break these. It just goes back to kind of what I'm saying. You need to be able to put together a team that can consistently win, and you need to be able to break up these tough stretches and not let them go so prolonged. And it's not just walks for Blaylock. It's losing streaks. It's cold spells for the offense. It's bad road trips. I mean, these type of things need to be looked into, and there needs to be some sort of adjustment. And I think that's why people get frustrated with the current state of the Rockies is because a lot of the stuff is just hit with basic excuse of that's baseball, it's blah, blah, blah. But it's like other teams aren't facing this. Other teams aren't in the same situation that the Rockies are in. There's only really one team, maybe two, that are in a worse spot than the Rockies. It depends on how you look at the Marlins. So really it's my focus isn't just on Blaylock. It's bigger picture. And it's but Blaylock is right there. I mean, this again, you have to adjust as well. I mean, it cannot be acceptable to be walking 5 batters in your last start, 6 batters in the one before that, 4 against the Yankees, 3 against the Padres. Where are the adjustments? How many times have I asked that question this year? Anyway, a couple of quick questions here from a friend. We had someone tune in from Detroit here, so let's see. It was our comment from earlier, so that's what we like to see. If you were to do a quick elevator pitch to fans, what is something you can sell them on for the future of team, willingness to spend, something in the farm system, etc.? All right, yeah, I'll hit you with this one. I mean, Brenton Doyle and Ezekiel Tovar are legit. Michael Toglia can develop into something special. The Rockies' rotation, when healthy, will actually be a little bit better. But I think the Rockies have a bunch of changes that might come to this team here sooner rather than later. But if we're sticking with just that, that's it. And then in terms of on the farm system, that's where the exciting pitching comes. I mean, Chase Dollander is oh boy. When you're talking, I don't know if I've ever seen people as excited for a pitching prospect. Because remember, I was a little younger when Rocktober and when the development of a lot of our favorites. It wasn't like I was following the team, but not on like the whoa, like really following it, development and that stuff. So for me, like Chase Dollander is like the most talked about Rockies pitching prospect that I can remember. Let's see. If I'm allowed to ask a second question, you talked about competing with the other Denver/Colorado sports teams. What do you think the Rockies can do better to compete against the Avs, Nuggets, and especially Broncos? Win. I mean, plain and simple, winning is the best fix for all of the Rockies' problems. When the Rockies are winning, when the Rockies are in the playoffs, when the Rockies are relevant at the end of the season, Coors Field is packed. I mean, and people care. So to be relevant is to win. I mean, just like the Nuggets and the Avalanche have done. I mean, the Nuggets, were have been mostly mediocre for my whole life before they invested in winning. Went after and bought into their superstar and built a team, a championship level team. So when the Rockies get to a point where they feel confident, they are going to have to make the moves and the changes to be a championship team. Make a big deal at the trade deadline. Make a big free agent acquisition with that without going overboard. Maybe only sign a 1-year deal, big splash pitcher to come and test the waters for a season. They're going to have to do something like that. And they're going to have to do it sooner rather than later because they're lucky the Broncos have been as bad as they have been. Because if it wasn't for the Broncos being bad, the Rockies would be really struggling with in some ways. But on the flip side, the thing that the Nuggets, the Broncos, and the Avalanche don't have, they don't have a beautiful ballpark in downtown Denver in the middle of summer. I mean, and that's the thing. Coors Field will always be elite because it is one of the best places to experience watching a baseball game in the summer. It is a premier place. People come. I mean, it is clear that people come from all over the country and probably further than that to watch games at Coors Field. So they will always be relevant in that way. But the attendance numbers are down this year. But really at the end of the day, the answer to that question is winning. That they are now out of those 4 teams, they're the only ones without a championship. So that's what you have to do. If you want to be on their level, you have to run as an organization at their level. And the level for those teams is championship caliber. Most times. Broncos been a bit of a mess. Nuggets, it's a little worrisome too. I mean, but that's sports though. Not as easy as we think. All right, let's wrap it up with Game 2 preview and just kind of it's not really a gotta win, but kind of does feel like a gotta win situation here for the Rockies if we're looking to on our little victories check sheet here. We'll do that coming up here in segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked on Rockies. I'm sorry, segment number 3. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. No one's going to steal that waiver wire pickup that you were hoping for if you got the inside scoop on your gut telling you that you're believing big in this player. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. And PrizePicks is the best way to get in on the action on most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. You can look at all the stats for yourself: hits, stolen bases, strikeouts, walks, all that and more or less 2 to 6 player stat projections. That's it. Super simple, super easy. Check it out for yourself. Download the PrizePicks app and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. This is the Locked on Rockies podcast, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked on Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And wanted to remind you that you can make Locked on MLB your second listen of the day. Our pal Sully's got you covered, all things baseball throughout the rest of the season. All right, so the Rockies are in a situation where it's not really a must win by the real looks of it here. But you are going up against you got Skubal on Thursday. You got Skubal tomorrow. You got to win today. I mean, plain and simple. If you are going to get shut out and handled by a rookie who was struggling, I don't have a ton of faith on you going up against the AL Cy Young winner or leader, I should say. You got to capitalize on this opportunity, and you got to show, and you got to bounce back again. Show fight, show some resiliency here as you're getting into this matchup and getting an opportunity to go back here. And again, this is a pitcher that also has had problems in Casey Mize for the Tigers here. And Tanner Gordon certainly has had his issues for the Rockies as well. But Gordon, obviously a young guy, so a grain of salt there. 90 innings pitched for Mize. 104 hits, 23 walks, 10 home runs. He has struck out 64 in that time, but a whip of 1.41. Those are Rockies. Those are familiar numbers to Rockies players or fans. You cannot allow the Tigers to get away with letting their two worst pitchers get away with dominating you. You have to go out there and lay and set the stage right away. You have to if you are going to be aggressive, that needs to pay off, because you cannot you can't ignore opportunities when you have a guy that's got 23 walks in 90 innings pitched. If you were to take Tanner Gordon's start to get up to 90, so you basically double everything. Or maybe it was that quadruple, because that's I think double everything for it. I mean, he doesn't even get the amount of home runs, or the home runs would be more for Gordon, but walks wouldn't even get to that 23 mark. Strikeouts wouldn't either. Hits wouldn't either. But you look at this line, you look at this, and this isn't a guy that you should be sitting there saying he's going to come in and decimate. He's not a guy that you should sit here and think that you're going to be outmatched by. This is a guy you got to go out and get after. But also, it's a guy you need to make sure you're having quality at-bats against, because the walk is going to be if the Rockies can use the walk instead of be a victim of the walk, they'll be in a good spot to win this game. I mean, or at least they'll be a good spot to get after this pitcher. Good spot to do some damage. Best thing you can do is jump out early. Get out early, get back up Gordon, help him out, and try to help him get his first win of the season here. But you got to bounce back. You can't roll over like that because, like we said, this isn't a Detroit team that's given up. This is a Detroit team that every win matters, and they are super pumped to have this opportunity to be playing a weak Rockies team. So that's what I'm watching here. How will the Rockies handle another pitching matchup or another matchup with a pitcher that should be one where the Rockies can capitalize? This is a moment where I got to see something. The Rockies offense got to impress me a little bit today. They got to bounce back and they got to get the job done against a person that this year has given people opportunities through free passes on walks. We'll see how it goes. We'll break down all things Rockies right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast after, every day right here. Free and streaming on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Find us there, like the videos. And that is going to do it for us today, folks. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, go catch Sully and Locked On MLB. Or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, folks, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.